Sir, let me ask you, when did you decide, how did you decide that the film Billy Elliot was meant for the stage?
Probably at the after party in Cannes in the year 2000, when it was shown out of competition. My partner David and I went to the after party and saw Stephen Daldry, who I'd met before, and Eric Fellner and Tim Bevan, who made the film, who produced the film. Sally Green from the Old Vic, who was a friend, in the Old Vic Theatre, which I subsequently became chairman of for a while. And Lee, who wrote the film, and we said, "What a great musical it would make!" And they went, "Yeah, they were reveling in their success anyway after the screening," and they said, "Well, phone us and we'll talk about it." So we phoned them and talked about it, and it led to Lee Hall and I writing some songs so they could see what it would be like. And Lee's lyrics were so amazing for someone who'd never written a song before that I had such a great time writing with my band in Atlanta. We did all the demos and played them to everyone, and they said, "Okay, you're on. Yeah, we'll give it a go."
Of course, the film had music in it, T-Rex and yeah, songs that underscored the film. Your music advances the story.
Well, what I wanted to do with the theatrical Billy Elliot was to make the miners a much bigger part. When you've got a bunch of men like miners who are known in Britain for their singing anyway, especially the Welsh miners, but also every mine or every town that has a miner has a colliery band, a brass band and a choir. And I thought the miners would be great to, they open the show, they close the show with their choral, the choral music that I wrote for them. With Grandma, it was also really great to be able to write songs for her. And for Billy, it was a no-brainer. I mean, I knew the era that it came from. I knew about folk music from the north of England, the northeast, and I knew about the music of that time. So it was pretty easy for me.
You've written so many hits. There doesn't seem to be any song that you wrote and then said, "Let's find it," like Memory from Cats. Let's find a show to put it in. This music really was put in there not to be any kind of breakout songs, but again to be part of the story. But are there any songs you look at and say, there are some individual hits in this show?
It was. What is that?
They did a sound check on stage.
Oh, I see. Okay. Is that all right? You okay?
I can hear it a little bit, but
yeah. That's
okay.
all right.
I mean, if it's
Okay. I think with this, the musical, you've got to make sure that the music fits in with what's going on. I didn't want it to overpower the story that's going on stage is quite incredibly powerful with the miners in their social situation and with Billy in his desperate bid to break away from that. You have to give the characters the right song to sing, like Grandma's song when she talks about her ex-husband who died. Looking at it now, Electricity was a number 4 single for me in England. Which was a big record for me from a musical. But I didn't enter it trying to write the big hit song for the musical. And I never do. I always try and write the songs if I'm writing for Aida. For Lion King, it was different. The songs were already there. When I wrote for Aida and Lestat and this, I tried to write the songs that would fit in best with what was going on stage. And you know, when you do that, I think it makes everything better. I didn't really want to come... I'm sure Andrew Lloyd Webber didn't say, "I must write this memory song and then put everything else." I'm sure it just came as a result of writing for Cats. You know?
And I should say, I've seen the show 4 times, London, New York, and here, so I know the show well. This show relies on one kid to carry the title and to hold the show, but they found dancers first who could sing. When you wrote the music, like Electricity, one of the songs I wanted to ask you, were you thinking ahead to a vocal range of a young child who would have to sing it?
No, I didn't. I mean, I just wrote how I would see the best melody for that situation. My songs aren't easy to sing normally. Electricity is not an easy song to sing. So, so we found, as you say, kids that could dance but maybe couldn't sing. As kids that could act but couldn't dance or sing. So it was they had to suddenly learn how to sing if they couldn't sing that well. And they're not easy songs to sing. Electricity is a hard song to sing and dance to at the same time. So we had to find the kids to adapt to the music.
What I love is that the Billy character who wants to do ballet, and his family, the manly men, want him to be a boxer. There's a fear he's a poofter, right? That he's gay, and of course that's not the case. But there is the character of Michael, his friend, who likely is. And you wrote a fabulous song called "Expressing Yourself." Lines like, "What the hell's wrong with expressing yourself? Being who you want to be. Will anybody die if you put on a dress?" That message goes pretty deep.
It is. I mean, it's a very funny number, but it's socially, from a social impact, a great lyric from Lee Hall. It's like, who the heck, you know, it doesn't matter. And Billy is not freaked out because Michael's gay. He just says, you know, not every ballet dancer is a puff, you know. It's a misnomer. Everyone thinks ballet dancers are all gay, and they're not. Not all dancers are gay, and then probably a small percentage of them are, but most of them aren't. And that's, you know, it's just typical stereotyping. And he loves Michael. He has no problems about putting on a dress. I think because when we're kids, we don't have any formed opinions like that. When we become adults and our parents' thoughts are put into our own brains sometimes, and we get the propaganda from our parents, then we get prejudices and things. But kids, you know, when I was a kid, we all used to dress up in clothes and act out plays and stuff. Never thought about being gay or whatever. It was just what you did, and it was fun. So I think as kids are much more innocent. And the lyric says, you know, there's nothing wrong with this. It's just we're having a great time.
You also have a very powerful number in the letter.
Yeah.
And it's a relationship between Billy and his mom, who's deceased, but she's still present. And in that, beautiful lyrics, I will have missed you growing, missed your crying, promise me this, Billy, and everything you do, always be yourself. And ultimately, when Mrs. Wilkinson says, special woman, he goes, just be mom.
No, she was just my mum. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, your reaction in terms of that juxtaposition of the powerful message of the music and the beautiful music, and Billy's view, which is just my mom.
Yeah, just
something personal in there for you at all?
Well, no. I mean, that's Billy. I mean, Billy came from a very working class background, a mining background. I came from a working class background. My mum went out to work all the time, and yeah, she was my mum. She was very special. She was. I grew up with women in my life. My grandmother, my aunt, my mother, who were very, you know, they were the figureheads that I looked up to. I didn't look up to my dad. I looked up to my mum, and you know, she was special to me, but she was special to no one else, you know. She was just, no, she's not that special, but she's just my mum.
And we relate so strongly to that. Yeah. In this show, and you have said, you know, people don't just pull for Billy. I mean, they're pulling for Mrs. Wilkinson and the dad and the brother and the miners. There's lots of protagonists in this show.
This happened. This is real life. This is not make-believe. This actually happened. And that's why I thought it was a really important story to tell and a really great opportunity to show the drama of what went on, how families were torn apart, how, you know, Billy's elder brother gets, you know, so incensed because his dad breaks the picket line, because his dad suddenly realizes that his youngest son has this talent and the only way he can pay for it is to go back to work. It tore communities across the northeast of England completely apart, and families still don't talk to each other. It was a huge, huge deal, and a very, very sad and violent thing for families to go through. And so you are pulling for the miners, you are pulling for Mrs. Wilkinson, you're pulling for anyone to get away from that. And suddenly realized that she said, you know, when Mrs. Wilkinson says, you know, I'm on your side, you know, when he goes to knock on her door and the snow starts falling, I'm on your side, I'm not the enemy. I'm not the enemy, you know, Mr. Elliot, I'm not the enemy. But there's sod all left here. There's sod all left.
The national tour starts in Chicago. Talk to me about why Chicago is such a great place to begin a national tour for any show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I started AIDA here, and it was such a great experience for me. And I had Bob Falls directing it, who was, you know, one of the great directors, and who was a savior for AIDA and a wonderful person to work with. It's a great theatre town. Outside of New York, it's the best theatre town, the biggest theatre town in America, no question about it. And for art and culture, Chicago is the second city. It's not Los Angeles, it's not San Francisco, it's Chicago. And this is where we wanted to come. This is where we wanted to do it after we've done New York. And this is where we are, and I think we're in the right place.
Last question. You're a celebrity who does so much philanthropic work. Do you believe it's the obligation of celebrities to do that work, or is this just something that's in your heart?
Only if you it's okay to do philanthropic work, but you've got to really get your hands dirty. It's no good to just talking the talk. You've got to walk the walk as well. I think everyone comes from a sincere place, but it's not just about, you know, turning up on a red carpet or an event or a fundraiser. You've got to get your hands dirty. You've got to go and find out what it's all about. And only a few, very small percentage of people are prepared to do that. Right. You've got to put time in it. It's about time investment as well as financial investment.
Thank you, Sir Elton. I didn't even get to next fall on Broadway, but
that's okay. All right.
Thank you, sir. Thanks so
much.
You
can ask me a quick question about.
Can I do it? Okay.
Yes, please. Yeah.
All right.
It's very important for me, that.
Jeffrey Knopf's Next Fall opened on Broadway. Not a big budget show, but a risky show with a great story. Ben Brantley said the funniest heartbreaker in town. Talk to me about the motions of that show. I'm seeing it next month.
Well, this is an amazing show. It's, I think, the funniest show on Broadway for a long, long time. But emotionally, it'll leave you in tears. It'll get your mind racing about your beliefs, your non-beliefs, whether this is right and wrong. It's something you come out of the theater and you'll go to dinner and you'll talk about it the whole time during dinner, and then the next day you'll think about it. It's a brilliant piece of writing. Brendan Bantley said it's probably the best, maybe the best American play of the last decade. And to be associated with it and to be a producer on it is a huge gift for David and myself, because I honestly believe that Jeffrey Nott's piece is a landmark piece of theater writing. So I hope you enjoy it when you see it.
I will. Thank you, sir.